House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
Day once again. Welcome to House to Home, where my dear friends Liz and Gina from Remax Diamond Realty Guam are joining me. And ladies, I must say, I miss you both so much, and not being able to do this segment in person is something I really, really treasure for all these years and everything like that. But I know we'll get back to that point at some point.
Eventually.
If we all do the right thing, we'll get there.
Eventually.
All right, but both of you have actually been, shall I say, beacons of light for your industry, because you guys are really emphasizing that we do the right thing and all act responsibly and everything, not just for your industry, but for business and for society in general and everything like that. So I think you are to be commended for that. So thank you for doing what's right for our island, first of all.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay.
Thank you.
So speaking of doing what's right, at least within your industry, solar panels is what I'd like to talk today, ladies, because solar panels have been such a topic of much introspection, I would say, from people that are considering it. Other people have maybe strong opinions for or against. Liz, maybe we can start with you. Like when it comes down to it, what do having solar panels as part of your residential property or commercial property, what do they do for the overall value of real estate?
Well, first of all, solar panels are supposed to help reduce your power, correct? So your power bills are less. So I've had a number of clients, some that have signed up with a solar company with a solar contract, and that was like a 20-year period. And then I've had some people who actually went and purchased solar panels, installed it themselves. They learned about the solar panels, how to, put them together. And it really has saved their power bills. One individual has a huge home and his power bill is like $200. And another party, I'm going to actually inspect a home today, and they're telling me their power bills are zero. So, I mean, and he installed it himself as well. And then I've had another client who sold a home that had solar panels. But the issue with that is when you're selling a home that has a contract attached to the solar panels, then you're either selling, when you sell your home, the buyer would have to agree to assume the contract. It has to be disclosed that that particular home has a balance of maybe 15 years on the solar panel contract. And what does that mean for them if they buy it? They have to assume paying for that monthly fee associated with the solar panel contract, and on top of it, any power bills that come in. So I think there's, and the problem would arise if, let's say, the buyer refuses to buy the home because of the solar panels, the contract associated with it. So I know in some cases, like my sister, for example, in the States, she was selling her home and it had a contract with a solar panel. They told her that if they removed it, it was going to cost her $30,000. And so what she had to do in order to sell the home, she had to reduce the price of her home in order to sell it. And, that's kind of tough when you're counting on every amount that comes in so that you could go purchase another home.
Which defeats the whole purpose if you have an investment.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and here on Guam, there are a number. Yes, and here on Guam, there are a number of homes that we encountered that. I'm sure Gina had an experience with selling a home that had panels. So did I, and I'm sure a few others on the island as well. But it could be a big issue, and it takes a while sometimes to transfer the contract from the original owner to the new homeowner. And in the meantime, what happens? The bills continue to come, and somebody's responsible for that monthly payment, which
Gina,
eventually.
Oh, I'm sorry, Liz.
Go ahead.
Gina, is it this?
No, but
sorry, please.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Gina, this isn't the same situation like when you have air conditioning installed or when you have, a pool put in or a gazebo or something like that, right? Like how are solar panels like categorized or classified?
Well, you know, so what Liz was mentioning is her sister's experience where in order to sell the home, she had to reduce the price so that the potential buyer would be willing to purchase it. And people ask, well, why is that? Why is that the case? And this is why we're bringing it up. This is why we're trying to get the information out to the audience. You know, the reason people are looking at solar panels here in Guam is our electricity bills are so high. And people are trying to look at ways to save on that. You know, if the average electricity bill here is $300, that's a lot of money for our average family. Okay, it's quite a bit. And so
for some people, that's a car payment.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a car payment. You know, it's half their mortgage payment, you know. Anyway, it's just a lot of money, regardless of what it is. Or maybe you don't even have a mortgage payment anymore, but you're doing this because your power bill's now $300 to $400 a month. You've got a 3-bedroom, you know, average size home, and you're looking at that and you're saying, wow, this is a lot of money for me to spend. So the solar panels become really attractive. The solar companies come out, they take a look at your home and they say, you know, we can install X number of panels based on your consumption, and we're going to put them in, and now we're only going to charge you $200. And so what we are trying to get out to the consumer is $200 for how long? How long does that $200 stay? That's you know, you need to understand it's not fixed at $200. It's only fixed at $200 initially. The contracts that I've come across, it was $200 to start off, and then it goes up every year on this particular contract that I had. So consumers ask the right questions. How long will it be at this amount? The other question that I think is critical is in my particular case with my owner, her contract was for 25 years. She contacted me on the 20th year and said, Gina, sell my house. I said, hallelujah, fantastic, I'd love to.
And your eyes got all big.
Yeah, you know.
And you literally put on your realtor hat and said, all right, sales mode, here we go.
Here we go. Remax, I'm ready, right?
Your realtor mask, thank you, beautiful.
Yeah. So we got started working on it. You know, I looked at the contract and I said, okay, fantastic. The home was 2,200 square feet. It was, and the reason I'm giving you this information is so consumers can identify, okay, where do I fit into this? It was 2,200 square feet. She started at 350 when she signed on. And I asked her, wow, that already seems kind of high. She said, well, Gina, I worked out of the house. I have 4 bedrooms. I ran all the ACs. My average power bill at that time was $700 to $800. So when they told me 350, I was like, hallelujah, I'm saving so much money. So she signed the contract. I show up 5 years later. And then I evaluated the home, put it on the market. And I realized in order for her, so we had a buyer at $560,000. And then we tried to find, okay, how much is it going to cost for this buyer to assume the contract? And the seller had said, you know what, let me pay it off. I'm willing to pay it off. Jason, we found out in order to pay it off, she had to pay all the monthly payments that were due for 20 years up front. It was about approximately $80,000. So the concept is not, the concept was like a mortgage, you know, if I pay my mortgage today, I pay far less. Not with the panels. You have to pay what and in this contract, it was, you pay what we believe will make over 20 years. And then we found out that our payments will, the way the contract was written, it goes up every year. If you go on vacation and no one's in the house, you still pay the same amount. You know, a lot of people go on vacation and they say, wow, I was on vacation for 3 months. For 3 months, I hardly got a power bill because I wasn't there. Doesn't work that way if you have solar panels.
Can you explain that to me? Because to me, that doesn't make a whole lot of, and again, like I'm ignorant about most things, but I would think that with the depreciable asset, the cost that you would pay over time, the longer time goes on, would be getting less and less because, you know, that the hardware, you know, has, the effects of Mother Nature, especially something that's mounted on your roof, like, it's going to get rained on, it's going to get, winds are going to blow it, a bird may have a dropping that it plants on it, all sorts of, environmental stuff, I would think.
So and I cannot say that every contract out there is going to have the same circumstance.
Okay, I'm going to put on my realtor cap because I want to understand this. Here we go.
Okay, this contract, and I'm talking about this specific contract for this specific owner. So what happened was these solar panels are designed to generate electricity, and the solar company sells that to GPA and they make money on it. As the solar panels age, they're selling less electricity, they're making less electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that's the reason the rates were going up every year for the consumer, because the panels were giving the company less energy. So the cost was going up for the consumer.
Okay.
Okay. So the
now again, to be fair, we're not trying to promote at all that solar panels are a bad idea or they're a bad investment or that they're a sunk cost. We're just trying to say, like we've always tried to do on the show, is the two of you have said, understand the total.
You need to understand what you're getting into and ask
Right.
the right questions. So one of my questions was, I started calling around because I realized my owner could have potentially sold her house for $560,000 because she had solar panels in place. Now, when buyers looked at it and realized every year that, after they buy it, every year that goes by, their solar bill was going to go up. Okay. The value of the house went down to compensate because they said, I can't get rid of these panels. I'm not assuming that every buyer would have wanted to, but the idea was my cost is going to go up every year. So you better give me a better price on the home this year to make up for that fact. And I started calling around, and what I found out was, well, over time, these panels, like a car, it starts breaking down. Apparently, the same concept is true with panels. The battery cells inside these panels start deteriorating over time. So this is what we're trying to promote to consumers. Ask the right questions. 5 years from now, will my solar panel still give me the same amount of energy? 10 years from now, will it still give me the same amount of energy? And what diminishes its ability to produce that energy? Those are really important questions, because you're going to continue paying the same amount or more over time. But if your panels are giving you less energy, how is that going to affect you as a consumer? And what's the lifespan of these panels? Because you're signing a 25-year contract. Those are all great questions that you need to ask yourself, because it will affect the value of your real estate.
Okay, Liz, final word is yours, very fittingly.
I think it's a matter of weighing two sides. One, should I learn about installing solar panels, and what is that going to cost? And of course, I know there's an initial investment to do that, or to be tied into a contract. And if you're tied into a contract, your hands are tied, because even if you wanted to replace any of those panels, let's say one of them breaks, you can't touch it because you're bound by a specific contract. And so no matter what you do, Gina and I want to stress, read the fine print. When my sister sold her home, she started to research and call around, only to find out that all these companies have similar type contracts. They lock you in and your hands are tied. So you're bound by that contract. So even when you sell your home, it does affect your value, because what if the buyer does not want to assume that contract? Then you have to pay it off. Can you imagine $80,000 to pay off a contract on top of having to sell your home
up front?
So yes, we're not saying one is better than the other. We just want to educate the consumer. And I think Gina and I want to bring someone next show to talk about what the pros and cons if you want to install the solar panels yourself. What's the
I am
cost?
waiting with bated breath for that, because I really am into this topic right now.
Yeah. What's the cost involved to bring in? And then there's another factor with the typhoon that we have. Mounting it, installing it, you got to make sure you don't lose any money, because if the typhoon does hit and those panels blow away, you've lost your initial investment.
Exactly.
So many factors, but I think the bottom line is solar panels, the objective is to bring your power costs down, not pay tube fees and your power bill goes up.
Precisely. Well, my friends, I hope you've taken as much away from this segment as I have. And you know what? Bills are due at the end of the month and those rack up. But here on House to Home, we give you information for free every single week. And it's our pleasure to do so. So Gina, Liz, thank you so much. It was always a highlight of my week to hang out with you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for the info. We'll see you next week.